Beautiful people, you're welcome back to Streets and Cathedral. Big shout out to you guys for joining. More people are coming. I have two interesting guests today, and I have Olga from Poland, a Polish lady, and I have Lawoye, Soji is currently in China. But before these amazing people join on board, I want to react to trending things. Today's topic: it rains everywhere. From the topic, you could deduce that it's actually suggesting something to us as regards the fact that could we be faced with the same reality but in different forms? Could it be that we are more similar, but we are playing to a gallery according to some sect of people? We will find out. Happy New Month, and thank you, amazing people, for the love, for the support of this podcast from its inception. Don't forget, let me pin the "it rains everywhere." That's today's conversation. It rains everywhere. And these guests that are going to be joining us, very, very, very brilliant people. They are one of the smartest people I've had conversation with. So let me react quickly to trending things. At first, we had this incident recently as regards Senator Natasha and Akpabio. That is actually not a very funny incident, which will lead me to the conversation of what I call the saints of Sodom. The saints of Sodom. Permit me to draw a biblical allusion that is quite related to that story, the saints of Sodom. I'm writing a piece, a novel, that actually talk about our political figure and the future of those people that are even hoping to take over from these current oppressors and capitalists. Who are the saints of Sodom? What is the fate of Sodom? What is the attitude of a Sodomite? And these are profound things we need to ask ourselves. I understand people are reacting, the news is buzzing, but do you know there is an adage that says that the idle man is the devil's workshop? So where we have a leadership that is not interested in the creative thought process that moves a collective of people forward, then we should expect not from such kind of government or this kind of news. As a matter of fact, I want to believe that this is not something new. Hello, Olga, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm alright. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. You look good. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
So you give me just a few minutes. I just want to react to training things that we jump
Of course.
So that's supposed to be something that I feel like we should discuss more. So I'm going to point the topic around that. Let me leave that. Another thing happened this week, which is I'm going to talk about the recent Donald Trump issue to open our conversation. Zelensky and Trump, which I know that it affects everyone, and we're just going to throw that as a conversation. But let me leave Donald Trump and let us talk about the African Union. The president, the military president of Ibrahim Traore said something as regards what is going on in Congo and why the African Union has not sent support and tried to diffuse tensions. So we ask ourselves what organization is actually interested in trying to put us forward as first. So that aside, another topic is also common in that aspect of brilliant people like Olga and Lawoye subsequently. So finally, which is a pause for me, is Zelensky and Trump's recent drama. Let me call it drama. Tantrum. I don't know why many people are surprised. I have not seen one person actually display diplomacy over some time. So I don't know why you expect someone to be so diplomatic when such a person has never been diplomatic. That is you trying to say you are expecting a dog to be a perfect swimmer amidst ocean, or better to be a better swimmer than the shark. So that to me, I can't understand. So, but you would notice something in that conversation, and that's the fact that things have changed, whether we like it or not. The policies coming in, the attitude, the trajectory of the superpowers right now has changed. And my best guess is this: why some people are trying to play the big card, I think they bought themselves some illusion. Why some certain countries around them are actually developing faster in technology, in everything. So America came into self-awareness and felt like, oh, instead of us pumping money into some things that doesn't serve its purpose anymore, why can't we go inwards? And you see China producing more than 150 million years, boasting about that. Really, the Arabian Peninsula right now, the Gulf, those guys are moving in a very fast pace of development. You see someone like the World Cup Qatar, we also saw development, enormous developed country right there. So you want to ask yourself, good quality of life, good tax rates. Even people are trooping to Dubai right now, trooping to those places to go live, to go settle, and the media propaganda is not working anymore. People are actually going for reality. So it is now time for some people to now say, wait, we don't think this actually works anymore. We need to sit back, do our own work, and make sure that this country is perfect. So we are going to coin another topic around that because that is not our focal point today. Subsequently, I just needed to react to that. So let me welcome you officially, Olga, to Streets in Cathedral. At first, Olga, let me say thank you for saying yes. You, I wouldn't lie to you, you are one of the smartest people I have talked to, I've had conversation with. You have a very fantastic mindset.
Thank you.
And I know you're going to do justice to this topic. I tried so much to get the beautiful Georgia Asuya on board, but she gave me terrible excuses, which is understandable. I skipped on someone who is Sister Shibon. She actually gave me a consent. She's English. She's from England. So I wanted you, Sister Shibon, Georgia, basically from Ireland, and wanted this guy also who resides in China. He's actually from my country, but went to China. So we want to discuss around the topic. It rains everywhere. But there's a saying, Thespian, the show must go on regardless. Before before we go into the heart of the conversation, let me introduce you guys to this fantastic human being, Olga. You will spare me on your surname because I don't like to murder the pronunciation. Maybe you can help me with that. So, but
Uh, so my full name is Olga Karczmarczyk. I'm originally from Poland, and I have been living in Northern Ireland for over 10 years now.
yeah. So with that, you would realize that Olga's reality is concrete. And whatever she's going to be telling us today will be solid because she has an experience, grew up, she has lived part of her life in Poland and also part of her life in the Northern Ireland, the United Kingdom. Moving away from that, Olga is someone who is a vast reader. I call her personally the walking encyclopedia. There is nothing Olga is not well-grounded in, which I respect so much. And her simplicity, her vastness, the fact that Olga has embraced a kind of mindset that we need as human beings to move forward in this generation. We still find a lot of people trapped with the mindset of maybe prejudice, racial disparity, um, you know, a lot like that. But Olga has elevated her mind, and that is because she has consciously invested in her self-awareness. Oh, I'm sorry. Someone said it's actually me. I'm so sorry. Can you hear me better on our Twitter? Can you hear me
There
better?
is a lot of background noise.
Okay. What about now? Is this better?
That's better. That's better, yeah.
Thank you for bringing my attention to that. So, Olga has invested her mind in to educate herself to move away from, the conditioning of prejudices, racial disparity. She's one of the most brilliant people I've had conversation with. Oh, you're welcome, Brad Twitter. Thank you. Thank you for bringing my attention to that. And I'm very sure that this conversation we are going to enjoy and also learn and share our feelings. So, G, I want you to send me a request to join this video. I'm just doing the introduction so you can meet up. I would accept once you just request to join this video. The first icon beneath your screen, click on it, request to join this video, and I'll accept. So that will keep the show ready. So, Olga, once again, thank you so much for saying yes to this. Thank you so much for your nature. Thank you so much. Olga is a student nurse, but her story is inspiring. She had told me a story before. I wouldn't want to go ahead of her if if she's convenient for her to share a story here for people to learn. All well and good. But one thing I have learned from Olga's story is the power of resilience, the power to push regardless, the power to survive, and the power to think outside the box, outside the box. So thank you so much, Olga, for who you are. You were present at my book launch last year. Thank you so
I
much for
was.
supporting.
It is lovely.
Yeah, thank you so much for supporting. Thank you so much for believing. Thank you so much for being a friend. And hopefully this year, when I'm ready with my first stage play, I want you to come aboard and also invite, your friends.
I will. I definitely will. Like
Yeah,
you said, I will support you because you're a brilliant person and what you're doing, it's really, really important.
thank you very much. Thank you. You're welcome. This is my brother. He is a junior colleague to me while we were while we were in university. We were not in the same department actually. We were not in the same department, but because I was a student leader of the university, the younger folks who are aspiring also to walk that path will be attracted to you. So they want to come close to you to learn. Strangely, this is the only guy, aside from my contemporaries, this is the only guy that I have ever allowed to come to my personal home. And the reason is because Soji is a very restless human being. Soji is someone who I don't think you can tell him no. He's vast. He introduced me to lots and lots of books and authors. As a matter of fact, Soji was the one who told me that my writing style correlates with Maria Corelli. You remember Soji? He was the one who let me know. And he would give me some books. I took one of your book to Egypt. I remember that's Life Everlasting by Maria Corelli. Soji introduced me to Lop Sangrampa. Soji introduced me to the books of Ifa, and conversation with Soji is just timeless. You wouldn't know that you spent 5 hours talking with this brilliant chap. He's also a walking encyclopedia, just like Olga. He's currently in China. Um, of course, I wasn't surprised when he told me that. He's always had this global mindset. So, Soji, thank you for saying yes, and you're welcome to Street and Cathedral.
Yes, thank you. Hello, everybody. Hello, Olga.
This is Olga.
Hello.
Hi, good evening. Hi, good evening.
Okay, Street and Cathedral. Very simple. The street stands for the voice of the people. Cathedral represents spiritual alignment. That came from my personal sentiment. I am a Christian. Olga, we've talked about my faith and we've talked around everything. And so Joe obviously knows how a dedicated Christian I am. But I am vast and I understand the fact that we are all members of the society. I do not want to stoop myself to a condescending level where I feel a fellow human being like me should be disregarded based on religion or his or her belief. No, humanity first before anything. And that is what Street and Cathedral represent. Let us go into the out of the conversation. And my first question goes to you, Olga. From the topic, it rains everywhere. It suggests universal struggles that people don't want to believe that there is anything called universal struggle going on. People would say, oh, Olga, maybe some people from another part of the world, or even let us say your Polish people right now, back in the country, we believe that Olga is living a better life by being in the UK. There's no struggle. It's an easy, free life for you. She has made it to the paradise, or whatnot, whatnot. I don't know if that reality is obtainable. So, what do you think about the topic in relation to universal struggle, Olga?
See, the struggle is there, and unfortunately, for a lot of Polish people who emigrated, we emigrated because of looking for a better life. That was the case with me and my mom. Unfortunately, I grew up in a working class, and I mean, it was basic struggles like, paying bills, buying food, getting new clothes. There was no ability to actually go out anywhere. And unfortunately, this struggle continue. There's about 17 million people in Poland at the moment who are living below minimal wage, basically. And there's 2.5 million of people who live in extreme poverty. So yes, for some of the people, it might seem like moving somewhere else. It is a paradise, but the struggles are still here in the UK. For people like me who study and they still need to work, it's really difficult to balance. And
What
then,
do you have to
you
stop?
know, the rising prices of the housing in the UK, it's extreme. Um, the prices of renting goes up and up and up every year, and a lot of people can barely afford it, especially if they are disabled
Yeah,
or
Olga, I want to take you for a word for two words that you made mention. I want you to elaborate on what you meant precisely by working class. Does it mean that the working class feel the heat more? So does it mean that the working class are the struggling class, universal struggling class? That's one. Two, I love when you said immigrants, work life. I also I migrated to the UK to come and study for my masters. And believe me, Olga, believe me, it was not easy. Even right now, visa states no recourse to public fund, and we both know what that means. We pay heavily tax into, but which it's okay. We are ready to comply to the rules and regulation of the country. We appreciate being tolerated and all, but at the same time, we need to separate the wheat from the tares. It seems the argument going on in the UK right now seems to be more like every immigrants are not supposed to be here. Is that so? When we separate legal immigrants to illegal immigrants? Is it fair on all immigrants to be classified to be choking the country as it were, as some people believe, or the narrative is being pushed via some media? Come in, Olga, please.
See, for the first question, yeah, I generally think we have a universal working class that does struggle. Um, because let's be honest, the minimum wage isn't a lot. And yes, as much as you can get by on a minimum wage, to be able to live a comfortable life, the minimum wage should be higher. Um, for the second part, I'm gonna say it is unfair to, it's, I think it's more of a prejudice and racism coming through a wee bit. It's just classifying all of the immigrants into the same basket, if I can call that. And it is unfair on people who are here and want to create a better life for themselves, because they are facing the challenges of being constantly criticized and constantly considering if them being an immigrant does affect their ability to work, to get a better job, to get into the university, to get a higher education, or if it will segregate them.
Yeah.
But I genuinely think that we can see less and less of it, especially with the younger generations who are growing up, getting used to the mix of cultures that we have.
Okay, thank you for that, Olga. I really appreciate that. And I will take that as your opening speech. Soji, how is China? Are you learning Kung Fu already?
I mean, I just got here 5 days ago, and it's been good. It's been good. I mean, way different from what I expected and where I'm coming from. But yeah,
Give us a
it's been
brief,
nice also.
give us a brief, you know, summary of what you meant by it's quite different from what you expected. What did you expect? What did you found in China?
Yes, you know, um, I was expecting just an average. To be sincere with you, yeah, this place is like so how do I put it? So Shenzhen is a place where the biggest tech companies is like the Silicon Valley of China, right? I entered through Guangzhou, then I'm in Shenzhen. Now, before that, I got to Qatar and I saw their airport. The airport is so huge that,
That's
and it was
I've been there. Qatar airport is
crazy,
fantastic.
crazy. Then on getting to Shenzhen, um, you will see like within like 1 square kilometer, you have like the biggest tech companies in the world having their headquarters. Xiaomi, Transsion, it's just like that for the whole of Shenzhen. And it seems like, from where we're coming from and what I expected, I was expecting, okay, just like, because I was expecting maybe Beijing would be the Beijing, Hong Kong, and the likes. And I'm getting, yeah, I started reading about Shenzhen that now the Chinese have created Shenzhen to be like a competition to like New York, so and Hong Kong, because only a bridge connects Hong Kong to Shenzhen, just a bridge, even though you need a passport to get to Hong Kong from Shenzhen. But the Chinese created this city, a recent city, less than 50 years old, like a recent city, constructed it to be a place where their future is going to,
Mm,
you know,
mm,
stay.
mm.
And it's crazy. These
Now,
guys are
let me
really,
interject. Olga, you remember when I was giving the opening speech, I said why some are actually building their country, dedicating the world, some were giving into some kind of illusion that they were the world power. But before they knew it, they realized that even their position as number one is more like an illusion. When we look at the Arabian Peninsula right now, the UAE,
let me
Qatar,
tell you something.
Kuwait, the like what you mentioned now, Qatar, Kuwait, Dubai, these guys have gone extreme to
You
build
know
their
something? So let me
like
tell you
product.
something.
Now you're talking about
As
China.
at 20 years ago, the United States is the largest trading partner for all 54 African countries, all countries in Europe, and also all countries in South America. Right now, the largest trading partner is China for all African countries, for all European countries except the
So
UK, which
we
is
have an
actually
economic. So
systemic.
we have an economic warfare going on already.
Yes, which is actually systemic. So if you look at it this way, for example, American brands in Africa, for example, um, Transcends is not popular here in China, but it's the number one brand when it comes to accessories in Africa. It is the Chinese brand. Now, when it comes to clothing, now you will see before for you to be a big boy, you have Louis Vuitton, you have these things, but you'll be shocked that most of the New Balance we wear, the Nikes we wear, are actually not coming from the United States, Canada, or the
China.
UK.
Yeah, I know.
They're actually coming from this place. So it's like saying there is like this economic, and we understand because if you look at it this way, I think the world economy is tilting. There
Let
is
me ask you this.
actually a shift.
Let me ask you this, and it's going to be a final question for you
Mm,
for your opening speech, for your opening speech. So I will move to
mm,
Olga now. It rains
mm.
everywhere. Universal struggle. From what you are saying now, it's different from what Olga said. So do you believe China doesn't have struggle, or you're in paradise?
I think they have. I think they have. But this is it, right? If you want to consider universal struggle, right, you also need to consider universal blessings too. Um, because we as humans have universal blessings too, and also have universal struggles. But here, for example, from where I come from in Nigeria, you don't even want to hear about that. It is something else. But what I see in China is that when there is like this general consensus on what universal struggle is, I'm seeing people want a way out. Let me give you an example. Tesla is a big deal in the United States because, of course, electric cars innovation. But when you come to China on the streets, you will see over 10 automobile brands having electric cars, fully EV. And half of the cars in China, including their metro and their bus, is actually electric. So once you look at the universal struggle, because there's a universal struggle for gas, right now you will see petroleum, when you look at the OPEC basket, is ever increasing, especially the war in Russia and Ukraine. So meaning people who are getting oil from Russia before are no more getting the oil from Russia and the likes. So there's like this universal thing on oil that has affected so many countries. But you see, now when you look at it, the trajectory is this, that the United States comes out, tell you that we're leading, for example, DeepSeek and ChatGPT. The United States have been telling ChatGPT for like 2-3 years. I have a cousin. You need to meet this guy. He's currently writing for the Nobel Prize in Physics. He's my cousin, my blood cousin. So he's in Nigeria. He has been for the past 8 months. He works in Silicon Valley, and he told me this since June last year that GPT-5 is not going to come out in 2024. I said
Wow.
it's a lie. They're already marketing it. He said GPT-5 is not going to come out in 2024 because it is not it is more of marketing than the real tech itself. They do not have that tech, but they have the marketing. So what they are marketing actually is something they have not achieved this year, and they can't achieve in the next 2-3 years. I said it's a lie
Mm.
until DeepSeek came.
So
Now China,
wait. Let me take you for that opening speech. We are playing to a gallery. According to your submission, we are all playing to a gallery.
yes,
And there's an economic warfare going on.
going
And
on like
from what all guys submission will say, the middle class, it's a global middle class struggle going on.
the middle class has disappeared. If you read this book,
They have disappeared. Have they
um,
disappeared? Are they not the one
if you
driving the
read
economy?
no, 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 no. If you read this book it was written back in like 2012. It was current America's presidents Donald Trump and Robert Kiyosaki. Why we want you to get rich? Was it 2009 and the likes? Where the submission of the book is that we have to save the middle class because the middle class is going to
Of course.
disappear
Hillary
in the next
Clinton
few
wrote
years.
Hillary Clinton wrote on this to be a political manifesto, saying a
Mm,
well-meaning must actually look into the middle. Well, let me take you for that as your opening speech. Thank you very much for that brilliant summary.
mm.
Let me go to Olga. Olga, I want to let us move to historical echoes and collective resilience. I want to show you a book here. I bought this book, Russia, in 20, was it 2021? This book, how big it is. It took me a while to read this book. So this book led me to lots of um, documentaries, so lots of reading more books, buying more books, which actually made me found Poland, Warsaw as a capital.
Yes, it is.
And I realized how your fragile positioning in Europe and how you guys have actually suffered enormously during the Cold War, even World War One and World War Two.
Unfortunately, yeah.
And I'm sorry to interject, it hurts me that a whole country, tribe of people, collective of people could be stampeded upon and be seen as a rite of passage to other, it's hard. At first, let me say sorry about that historical, but it will make me to ask you this question. What do you think has been the effect of the cost of living from the historical echoes right now? And have you guys also had your collective resilience, or do you have brain drain? Because you moving away from Poland, you said it, that some people move away to find a better life. Has that also resulted to lots of people outside of their native country, of their land? Is it this historical trajectory that is responsible for that? Or is it something that is happening currently?
See, like you said, Poland is the position of Poland on the map. We have Germany on one side and we have Russia on the other side. And unfortunately, for a really, really long time in a Polish history, and I mean really, really long time, we were oppressed. Then the World War One and World War Two came, where Poland at some points was non-existent. We were occupied by Russia. We had a home war, a civil war, and that was done by our general just to protect Poland from being invaded by Russia again. That was a really sad time in a Polish history, and there is a lot of people outside, living outside of Poland. You have a really big community of Polish people in the United States. You have a really big community of Polish people in the UK. From what I've seen, there is about, I might be wrong, so don't take me on that, but about 28,000 Polish people at the moment in Northern Ireland.
Wow. In Northern Ireland alone?
Yes, but those are not official, calculations. But I think the war, a lot of people started moving after the war for, looking for a better life. Yes, during the war.
Safety.
Yes, and safety. A lot of people would run away from Poland during the war. They would go to United States, for example. Not as much Ireland and Northern Ireland. Mostly people would go to United States, but it all started changing. Yes, and when looking back at Polish history, yes, it is better, but it's still not good enough.
But is there an economic impact of social changes so far recently on maybe inflation, cost of living on Polish people?
Cost of living went up, cost of housing went up. So a lot of people, like I say, there's a lot of people who are not working legally, and people who are working legally, the renting prices are extremely high. For a small house, for a small flat, and I mean a flat that don't have a separate bedroom, it's just a living room with a kitchen that you use as a sleeping space, that costs about half of the wage in a bigger city, half of the monthly minimum wage. You need to think about increasing cost of food, increasing cost of dentists. Yes, we have National Health Service,
Okay.
so we do, but most of the medication you need to pay for it from your own
What
pocket,
about
which
education? Is your education free, accessible? No.
medication is accessible, but most of the times it's not free, and that unfortunately touches a lot of elderly people and a lot of people with who are disabled or have disabled children.
What about
Um,
education? What about education?
See, we have a universal free education.
Okay.
So you have your 6 classes of primary school, and then you go off to the high school. All of that is free. Day universities, so stationary universities, are free. You need to think about the cost if the university is not in your city. Are you going to travel, or
Oh,
are you going to rent a flat? Or more possible for students would be renting a room with few other peoples in a house. So as much as the university itself is free, the cost of living isn't.
it's high. So there's no balance between the work you be, the income, the working class make. And now I understand you. There's no balance between what the working class make and what they spend.
No.
That takes a big toll.
See, I think as much if you have a couple and both of you are working on minimum wage, you can get by. You might not be able to have luxuries, you might not be able to have a brand new car, but you can live by. The most affected people here are children, and yeah, yes, all of the universities are free. If
Okay.
I'm answering to the comment here, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
And
And thank you, Brad Twitter. You brilliant. And I appreciate you. I don't know who you are, but if you
that's
follow me, I'll
my
follow you
friend
back.
actually.
That's all.
That's my best friend, one of my best
Oh,
friends. So,
very much. If she
uh,
follows me, I'll follow her back. Thank you very much, Brad Twitter. Maybe someday I would have all this on this line. Yeah, maybe. So continue, please.
so yes, children and elderly are the most affected by it. Mostly, if you look at it, the elderly pensions are quite low. Unless you were in a high position throughout
It's
most of your life,
Hmm.
your pension would be higher. But most of the peoples were, labor workers, physical workers, and they will get the lowest possible pension, which means if they have a house to pay, they need to pay for their gas, they need to pay for their water. A lot of elderly people are put to choose between food and medication, between basic necessities that they need. You can't even imagine how many people in Poland are still living in houses that don't have toilets, don't have running water, don't have electricity, and it's a constant talk.
You have electricity problem in Poland,
See, it's not that we have electricity
but the
problems.
affordability.
It's just people who are living uh, below minimum
Minimum
wage. And I mean, that's being extremely poor, considered being extremely poor. There are people who still live in houses that do not have access to bathrooms,
and
that do not have access to running water. They need to take water from the wells outside to be able to live, and then putting people to choose in between food and medication is not fair.
okay. We have established something in this conversation, and I think it is solid. There is a universal struggling class, and that is the middle class. So we have a middle class, a universal struggling middle class. Let me ask Soji this question. Soji, from what you were saying, you made mention something as regards economy. I'm going to ask you the economic policies. You've listened to Olga. You're in China. We are going global. We are, you know, looking at the global perspective from our own personal country experience as well. We came from the same country, Soji, and we can see
Mm.
that almost the same thing Olga is saying. We are familiar with it. It is not strange,
Yes,
if not even
yeah.
worse. If not
Even
even worse.
that the country is enjoying, you have well at the front of
Yeah,
the
even if
some
not
people
even
well is a
worse.
luxury.
So I really love Olga's perspective, but if we bring our perspective, Olga, you will be surprised that
You'll be
you'll
surprised.
be surprised that it's unimaginable when we bring that reality to your faces of what is going on in our country.
Nah, they don't even want to bring it to her.
It's
You don't want to bring it to her.
it's no, we can't. She has done our part, but
Yeah, because
my problem is, will she even understand? But it will look more
yes.
like it's a lie to her. The other day, Olga is my friend. We've had fantastic conversation before now. Trust me, we've had deep conversations surrounding religion, politics, and all. But the understanding of the fact that, okay, let me give you an instance. Do you know some people here do not understand hunger? Hunger in relation to the fact that some people are really hungry and they don't have anything to eat. The other day I was in Scotland and I was having conversation with one of my Scottish woman. She's a Scottish woman who she was fond of me, so she helps me, she drives me and all. And we talked about hunger and all. And she said, yeah, she has been to South Africa, but there was a day she was telling people that people, and someone said, hey, let them go and buy food. And they said, you don't understand. It takes you to have money to buy food. And he said, yeah, there will be a charity giveaway. We said, there is nothing like that. Your world, yeah, is different from what is going on there. So the understanding is what I am. You know what I mean now, Soji? That
Mm,
understanding the fact that if someone came to Africa to take a picture, and that picture actually led to our own demise. The picture of the vulture waiting for a kid to pass away so the vulture could feed on the kid. That was a
mm,
gory sight to see. So I will ask you this question, Soji. Let's move. Let's have the way forward conversation now. We've highlighted the
mm,
problems.
mm,
What are the economic policies at this point in time that you think, if our government are really serious about improving the quality of lives in our countries, improving the struggling middle class in our country,
mm,
what are those economic policies that should be in place? Since you've traveled, Olga is also going to answer this question from my own perspective. It's a question for both of you. I
mm,
want Soji to comment. What are the best economic policies that can be in place to make life
mm,
better for these struggling middle class people?
mm. I think I would always say this. I would always say this. You can put me anywhere. I'll tell you that for all problems that we have everywhere around the world, it takes a state solution to solve everything. It takes the state being intentional about the people. Now, first of all, you have to zero the mind that we can't do anything by ourselves individually. The least we can do is to work. That's just the truth. From where we come from, if I would use Nigeria as a frame of reference, as a frame of reference, the cost of living. Also, Olga talked about, the price for rent and the likes. Man, you need to come to Lagos. If you compare how much they're paying for rent and the
Olga,
and the minimum wage we have in Nigeria,
no, no.
you need to understand that Lagos,
Let me give Olga
Lagos
this
has
reality. This Lagos you mentioned. Olga, you might actually go out of your house this morning, and I just want to cite an example, and go from Belfast to Lisbon, and you pay £5. For you to come back, you might be
for you
paying
to
20.
come back by paying £20. It's crazy.
You don't understand the mathematics, right? Even we don't understand. But
Even we don't
inflation
understand the
can happen.
mathematics, but it is.
Like that's the point. Inflation can happen the same day, and subject to the discretion of the transport and transport drivers, the people driving, and
Drivers and
nobody will hold them accountable. Nobody. So
nobody.
continue. Sorry.
As well as that. And if you look at it, for example, the house rent in Lagos, for example, your house rent to get a house as a young bachelor, your house might be worth maybe 600,000 naira for rent. But to get the house, you have to pay like 1.2 million naira because the agents will collect his fees, the documents you sign, lawyer fees, this and that and that. So you can't even think of it for I'm still in my father's house. Fine, I'm traveling, but I'm still in my father's house because of the cost of, getting housing in Lagos. That is why I think a state solution will be the issue. For example, in China here, they have this 24-hour working policy that I think most countries in Africa do not have. Now, the 24-hour working policy is that the office spaces are always open 24 hours, meaning they're not confining you to work for 8 hours, just get results. So if you like, you come to the office around 2 p.m. in the night, it doesn't concern them. Just get results and bring it back. Now, if you look at it this way, the ease of doing business is not in Africa. The ease of doing business. For example, as a 20, as a, I can't even talk about loan in Nigeria because nobody gives loans to anybody or credit facility. No, there's no credit facility. I mean, you're in Europe, there's credit facility for you guys. In
Yeah.
Africa, there is nothing like credit facility, which I think also it takes a state solution. For the past 2 years, for example, if that policies go wrong, first is the removal of fuel subsidy. Now, a liter of fuel was selling for 160 naira per liter. Now it is 900 naira per liter. That is like a 600% increase in the cost of fuel. And we don't have electricity. We survive on fuel. So having a 600 increase, and the minimum wage is 70,000 naira, which is $35 per month. So
Are you
$35
listening, Olga?
per
The
month.
minimum wage in Nigeria is
It's
$35 per month,
$35
not
per
per.
month.
No, wait,
Per
let me
month,
break
not
this down for Olga. Wait. It's an hard pill to chew. Olga, it is not per hour. It is not per week. It's not per day. $35 per month. Per month. Continue, Soji.
yeah. So from 35 to $40 per month is the minimum wage, and which I think it is still as a result of global stuff because the demand for Nigeria's oil mm, is beyond Nigeria. For example, Nigeria's oil will feed all West Africa,
But
feed
Soji,
Nigeria, feed Cameroon,
Soji,
feed Chad.
Soji, Soji, sorry to
Mm,
interject. Don't you see a looming doom coming already? When the world, from Olga's statement and even you
mm,
in China right now, the world has already tilted towards the use of electric technologies. So, what is the
mm.
fate of a country that pride himself in producing oil and didn't do anything to develop its own people, institution, drive production and manufacturing in the country? Don't you see a looming doom coming?
You Yeah, it's more of the survival of the fittest here. It's more of the survival of the fittest. But this
You
is
mean in
what
China?
I
You mean
feel.
in China?
No, in
In
Nigeria,
Nigeria?
in
Okay.
Nigeria, for the Chinese, I think for Nigerians and Africans, we've not been able to define prosperity. We've not been able to define prosperity. I think our definition of prosperity is still centered on individual. Now, it takes national philosophy. Now, the national philosophy of people defines their future. Now, for example, if the national philosophy of your country, you don't even have, it is non-existent in Nigeria. For example, it is non-existent in Nigeria. Now, for China, their own is to be the greatest nation on earth that is resonating in their hearts. You go to an average theater in China, they're talking about the story of civilization from their perspective. Now, you'd be shocked. There was this cultural shock that came to me. Um, I was in China, they had this thing on Tibet, and I said before China invaded Tibet. Now, the guy gave me an historical perspective. He said, "What book am I reading? Who wrote the book?" I said, "Well, the book is published by UK publishing house." He said, "That is why they're using the word invasion."
Mm,
He said
mm,
China never invaded Tibet.
mm.
So once you look at it this way, I feel the trajectory of where nations are
There is
going
this,
is,
so
is,
wait,
is
so wait. Let me break that down for our people because you guys are very intelligent. That's why I'm doing that. You and Olga. So there's some concepts you guys
mm,
are using and breaking down. What you are saying in perspective is this: there's also a patriotic national educational orientation
national.
that is
Yes, yes,
that is not infiltrated or taken from the
exactly,
outsider's perspective, but is drafted
exactly.
based
It's
on the national
drafted
philosophy of leaders of that
of
country
of that country
in order to pass it across to the citizen to breed
to
national
breed. Yes,
patriotism.
national patriotism. Yes, yes. Now, if you look at it, for example, let me talk from China's perspective here. Let me talk from China's. So this is their perspective on things. For example, in Africa, right? We had banks in Africa, right? The two working banks, the mobile banking, are Chinese, OPay and PamPay. When they came in, introduced instant transfer, all our banks started playing catch up. All our banks started playing catch up. But if you look at it this way, they're coming to Africa. There is this saying in Africa that when the United States and Britain come to Africa, we get a lecture. When China comes to Africa, we get a speed train or an hospital. So there is this thing, right? They're trying to like the national values and consciousness that is in their science and technology. They're trying to bring it here and infuse it into also you guys that are working with them. That is why somebody like me have an opportunity to travel to China in the first place. And I'm traveling here. They're not taking me to work. They're taking me to their national museums. They're taking me to their national archives
Why?
and the likes.
Why?
Now, if you
Why?
look
Why?
at it,
Why? Why? Why?
because they're looking at they're Africa's biggest trade partner. They're looking at a partnership that will go for years. If you're looking at a partnership that will go for years, the people who will drive it are the young people. By arresting the young people, you are securing your future.
Mm.
So they know that a certain group of us, young people, who are the most brilliant in the private sector right now, would be leaders in 20 to 30 years.
Okay, so
Interestingly,
please let me chip this in for Olga. Thank you very much. And Olga, thank you for your attentiveness. Same question to you. I'm going to make it a two-in-one question to you. One is the same question I've asked. At this point in time, Olga, is there a need for economic policy to change the fate of Poland? Because at the same time, the position Poland is also an opportunity in times of prosperity. When you look at trade, when you look at
but
trade
please,
abroad,
please hold on
look,
a minute. Please hold on a minute. I want to check this in that individual countries might not have a say on their own country's economical policies. The
come
reason
again,
is this:
come again.
individual countries as individuals, might not necessarily have a say on their own national policies in this century. Now,
Wow.
the reason is this: Nigeria's national policies, for example, is being influenced by what you are tilted towards. For example, the IMF comes in. The IMF advised the country on fuel subsidy removal.
Mm.
The
So,
IMF advised the
Soji,
country
Soji,
on
hold
fuel
your
subsidy
thought for a
removal.
second. I
Mm,
understand
okay.
you are boiling. Let Olga come.
Mm,
Olga, I said two in one question. I have asked the economic policy because Poland is actually positioned in time of prosperity where there's no war. I can see prosperity. I can see opportunities. I can see trade transactions going on between the borders of one of the biggest economies in the world.
Yeah, that is correct. The position of Poland and the fact that we are part of the European Union and we are part of the NATO. NATO protects us. We get a lot of funding from the European Union, which helps. It helps farmers because they get a lot of funding. It helps small businesses who can get funding for renting, for you know opening their own businesses. It helps young people to actually, it encourages young people to stay in the country. The opportunities are there. And as much as I love to say that, yes, young people do have more opportunities than what it was when I was back home, um, we still have that big amount of people who, even if they wanted to, are not going to be able to access those opportunities, to access the support.
Why?
Uh,
Why?
it's it is as simple as money. It all comes down to money, and it
Are you
all comes.
familiar with this concept in your country or maybe your government? The word corruption.
See, if you look at the politics, uh, we have a main party, Law and Justice Party, and then we have the opposition. Um, and Law and Justice Party control a lot.
Mm.
Um, our president is a part of Law and Justice Party, so there is there is a lot of support for people who do not work. They get support. There is support for children. like a child tax support for mothers who have children, but that ends when both of the parents are working.
It
That
ends.
support isn't accessible if both of the parents are working. Most likely, they're gonna be above the bracket, so they're not gonna be able to access support towards the cost with books, with clothing for children. They're not gonna be able to access that.
There is
Uh,
the impact of gig economy already. Gig economy in Poland. So how has the emergence of this gig economy in Poland affected traditional labor rights? You know, and what do you think are the reforms that are necessary to protect workers in this new landscape?
Here, first of all, definitely lowering the brackets for income. I'm sorry, not lowering them, bringing them up, uh, and bringing the brackets that even if both of the parents work, they would still be able to get that support for their children. Free medication would be a big selling point because it would mean that elderly people, people who are disabled, parents who have disabled children wouldn't need to worry about getting the life saving medications and needing to create GoFundMe pages to save up the money to be able to actually buy the medication off an American market because it's not accessible in Poland, or the
It's
price of it
expensive.
it's really expensive.
And
So
given that sometimes I feel, given that the inflation, Poland experienced an inflation of 14.4% inflation rate in early 2020. That and I just want to imagine how this has a ripple effect on the marginalized communities already.
sorry, can you repeat that?
I feel this will have a profound impact on the marginalized communities. What do you think?
It has a big impact. So mostly it's, like I said before, I come from working class family. I mean, we would be considered poor, not extremely poor, because we had a house, we had access to basic needs, but that would be about it. It would be your food, your water, electricity, and that's it. You can't afford anything else. An increase of the inflation means basically that the pay would most likely stay the same while the prices for food are going up, which means for the same price you get in half less products, if not even one third
Before that,
of what.
finally, I'm sorry, I'm not. It's just this book, this historic book, and the the things I've watched before this interview. I went, we always have conversations. So I've listened. You even gave me a book. We exchange books. There's a book you gave me that time. So I've watched lots of documentaries and all. But this is me asking a personal question now. I want to know, before this inflation in 2022, something happened globally in 2020, and that is the COVID-19, 2019 stroke 20. How did this also have impact on Poland?
Um, a lot of people couldn't afford living, and as sad as it is, a lot of people became homeless. A lot of people lost their jobs. Yes, as much as we have the support, something like a job seeker, the support for people who do not have the work, it's still affected a big amount of people. Um, and like I feel like I will repeat myself again, but that affected elderly a lot who were scared of going out from the house, so they were most likely suffering because of lack of food, because of being scared to go out of the house because of what was said, that there's an invisible killer, that it affects elderly people. A lot of those people were just lonely. Elderly people especially, young people have friends, know how to use social media, they were able to stay in contact with their friends, with their family online. The elderly people, loads of them don't have that option, and loneliness leads to complications. Yeah, and especially when you are too scared to get out to get your medication, to get your food. A lot of those people health get impacted. The waiting, for example, the waiting list to see a specialist in Port are really, really long. I will bring now an example from my own family. My grandmother, she has a heart disease, and unfortunately her arteries were getting smaller and smaller.
Sorry about that.
She was supposed to go for a procedure for stents to spread out her arteries. Unfortunately, they moved it, and because of the COVID-19, she was alone during the procedure that could have ended badly, because nobody was able to beat her with her. So she went there alone. She was 84. A procedure that, you never know what happened under the anesthetics. You never know how the heart will react to it. And that was a big, big issue for a lot of elderly people who, even if they do have family, the family is outside of the country. So the COVID-19 had big impact. The Poland now is sort of regrowing itself after. Like I say, there is a lot of opportunities there, but they're not being used.
Thank you for that, Olga. So sorry about this unfortunate. We also had our own fair share. As it is, it was a global chaos. So I wouldn't want us to go to that, Soji. The reason why I asked was because our own reality seems to be something we know. As with a unique, so it seems to be a far-fetched. So I really want to bring the reality to our face. And as the topic states, it rains everywhere. And thank you for sharing that story. Soji, we are moving to our last question. So you answer these, and Olga will take this, and that will be the end of our session. Of course, we'll talk about hope and change. Things cannot be going this way. There is something to live for. There's a saying that the day a man or human starts, or there's no hope for humans, I don't think there will be any reason to live. That will be a chaotic state of the mind. So there's always hope. Hope for change, hope for a better life, hope to find a love, hope to survive a disease, hope to grow. So now we understand the problem. So despite the pervasive nature of these struggles of the middle class, universal middle class, what gives you hope for the future? How can the collective experiences of the global working class across different countries inspire meaningful change, reflecting the theme to resonate globally? So ask, gives you hope for the future?
I think for me personally, I'm optimistic about Nigeria's future. I think there's a big one, and I think some countries like ours are waiting to explode. First of all, I think we have fully recovered from COVID-19. COVID-19 took a great toll on us also, but we're fully recovered. COVID-19 gave rise to like food delivery, for example. Now we have global child global and child death moved from like 25,000 to like 40,000 orders a day. Crazy growth. We've had the likes of, now we have like listings, Nigerian companies being listed on the stock exchange in the USA. We have crazy growth, Nigerian indigenous companies. We have Flutterwave. We have like indigenous solutions to local problems, to our own problems. So I feel for Nigeria, what gives me hope is the resilient spirit of our people. Is the resilient spirit of our people. On the plane to China, for example, half of the plane were Nigerians. And
Really?
where are you going to? They said, yes. They said, and I heard, because I had to take the plane to Guangzhou before Shenzhen. They had to pick me from Guangzhou. And they said there are no Nigerians in Shenzhen, but there are 100,000 Nigerians in Guangzhou alone.
Wow. In China?
And I said, wow, yes, in Guangzhou, in a place called Guangzhou. They even have a Nigerian village in Guangzhou, China. And what made me happy is not the population of Nigeria, of Nigerians there, is because out of the 100,000, everybody is there for trade,
Business. Because
business.
China feels
Nobody is there
like the
to,
capital of business now.
yeah, nobody is there to say because I want to jackpot or I want to run away from. No, people are there because I'm going take goods here, sell here, do
Mm.
this country
Mm.
businesses. As a matter of fact, I got a message yesterday from one of my brothers, Sule Buremo, is the CEO of Cadify. He told me, he said he's building an app that would enable you pay from Naira to Yuan straight up
Mm.
from Naira to Yuan, because there is this increase in business opportunities. So once you look at it, for example, for countries like Nigeria and the likes, I think the only thing that gives me hope is the people, resident spirit of people, which it is already translated to
Mm.
results. I won't lie to you. There's been beyond the force subsidy, force scarcity and the likes. I think we're not talking about our blessings enough. Now I know our struggles, Olga cannot relate to our struggles because it is, but also
Our
we have
struggles,
some other things that are
our
actually
struggles
our
is
strength.
also struggle.
It's also struggle,
Yeah.
like it's also struggle. But also we still have the struggles. For example, in Nigerian hospitals, there are no good doctors anymore because all the good doctors we have migrated to the UK and the USA and Canada.
Why?
All the good doctors
Why,
have
why
gone
do you think they migrated? Why?
because first of all the pay. I think it is the promise of greener pasture. Is the promise of greener pasture over there. Minimum wage, and these wages are very, very low and cannot. And when they see their mates moving, they also need to move.
But Olga
So
can relate to
these
this
are
struggle. She
yes,
can because she started
yes,
it
yes.
herself.
Yes,
The
Olga can
best
relate.
brain
Yes,
looking for a
the
better
best
life.
brain,
That's why I said the
but
struggle.
also,
I think
but,
it's similar.
but also, I'm seeing, but also, so I'm seeing. So it depends. It's like there's this way I'm balancing thing, right? Um, some sectors are going down. For example, our health sector is not striking about education is all time low. Right now, even government schools are not affordable anymore because there is the removal of subsidy on education also in
So
Nigeria. So the
when you say
government is no longer
affordable, how
subsidizing
much? How
education.
much? How much is an average government school now?
Yes, so Unilag school fees now is like from 200K
So
upwards. The school
what about the
we
secondary?
both finished from.
What about the secondary school? The secondary schools
In
and
secondary school, the lady who taught me in secondary school, I went to a public school, called me and she said, Soji, the standard of education has fallen so badly, and it's something I've seen also firsthand. So if you take your child to a public school, no, they're getting like close to nothing
you were
in
about
terms
to
of
say the
education.
school
But the private schools,
you were about to say the school you and I went to. Is there an increase in
yes,
schools
yes,
too?
University of Ibadan, yes. So for it's like 200K upwards now. The school fees
Why?
like 200K
Why?
upwards now. So the students, because there's the subsidy removal on education in Nigeria. So the government promised students loan, but they haven't fulfilled it, which they're not going to fulfill by the way. So that removes the subsidy on education on Nigeria's education. So all Nigerian universities, before you can get a federal course for like 40,000, 50,000 engineering in a federal school, now it's 200,000 upwards. Now, if you're schooling in a place like Lagos, where the house rent is all-time high, there are Unilag students who pay like 800K, 1 million for rent. So once you look at it, you will see that these sectors like education, but they're like Now, even the private universities offering the solutions, charging millions.
which is
So
not real,
education is,
which is not
which is
realistic to
not
an average struggling working class.
to an average struggling working class at all, at all. So the working class, the affordability of basic things is like being taken away in the hands of the working
So
class.
does this
If you
create,
look at it,
wait,
but mm,
does this create an obvious classism in the society? Obvious.
Nigeria is extremely classist. You know, for example, you'll be shocked that Nigerian brands in clothing sell more expensive products than foreign brands in clothing. For example, Nike, Nike, the Zlatan's brand, Ramojago's High Fashion, they're selling singlets at 200K, 250K. Like these are Nigerian owned brands. That is why all the clothings we have that we wear as the normal clothing are all from China because they seem to be cheaper. You know, you can't even afford Nigerian owned brands, and not because of the quality, it's because they are appealing to a certain class of people. You know, it's just the consciousness amongst the youth, which I think will fade away in due time. I think it's just the wave of the
It,
moment.
it
I
will
mean,
fade
everybody is
away.
soon going
Is
to
that part of your
in
hope?
due
It will
time, in
fade
due time.
away.
Yes, yes, I hope so. I hope so. To be sincere, I think it will fade away in due time. Everybody is still going to, come to terms with reality once we have serious leadership. So I think how is a leadership crisis, you know, for China, it is a leadership, it is a like leadership solution to this thing that come we as a people. So the government will say, come, these companies they're getting national funding. For example, for solar for technology, once you look at it, DeepSeek is like being funded at the back end by the government. And what they did is they made the back end, they made it open because they want to fight another country. So you would think it is a private company doing this, but that's why I'm telling you it is a state solution to things. The day we also start getting serious state
Do we have
solution to
creative?
our problem,
Do you think we have those set of leaders that can change things in power now, or we need to hope as well for the kind of leaders that will take over?
I think we have to hope because we have to hope. Now, on the current crop of leaders now, I feel will soon leave, to be sincere. And I think even if they don't leave, they also with time they are going to come to terms with reality. Because now we've forgotten them.
You make that reality sounds more like revolution. You're a smart boy. You're a smart person.
No,
I feel
no,
you are replacing the word reality with revolution. Am I
no, no.
right? Or does it
So
suspicious?
this is it. So this is it. So this is it. Nigerian banks they want to up their game, right? Ope and Pampe came. Nobody taught
So
them.
reality will happen regardless because
Yes,
the world is
but the
crazy on its own.
revolution, but the revolution will not be a revolution of going to the
It
streets anymore.
will be an intellectual
It's
revolution,
going to be like,
revolution of resolve.
yeah, it's going to be results. When Childek came in, Childek is less than 3 years.
Somebody is there in the comment section. Say, hope the leaders they can't leave. They recycle.
Yeah, they can't. So once you look at it, but they're going to come to reality because come at the end of the day, the people will find their feet. Um, for me, for example, I work in an accessories brand. I work in an accessories
You
brand.
have
These
one
are my
minute more,
products.
Soji. So Olga will round up. We are
Yes, yes. I work with an. So let me just round up with this. I work with an accessories brand, and we're moving from like tens to like thousands of employees in a year. In terms of research, for like being and these are indigenous solutions. As a matter of fact, my brand is not popular in China. It's popular in Nigeria. I think the day we're ready for a state solution when the government is truly, truly serious. Our minister of power is having a power bank. It's as crazy as that. Our minister of power is
I love that punchline. Our minister of power has power bank.
is having a power
I need to
bank.
write it down.
So
Continue.
so you see that it is eating them. The reality is already eating them, isn't it? The reality is already. You would think so. What I'm pointing is that because you have money does not mean you are free from troubles
Mm,
of an average
mm,
Nigerian. It does not mean you are free from this universal rain. So
mm, mm, mm.
having money doesn't mean you
The
are free from
rain
this
will beat
universal
you.
rain. The rain will
The
beat you.
umbrella
So
is for you to
it will
develop
beat you. It will
your
beat you. So the umbrella is for you to evolve as a community,
people.
which whether you like it or not, you have to do that.
Thank you very
Because
much
whether
for that submission. Thank you very much for that submission. Someone is laughing here. The man laughing here is the sun. of this designer of our Nigerian flag, the late Pa Akikumi Akinwumi. So this is the son of the designer of our Nigerian flag. Olga, same question to you. Hope and change. What is your hope for the future?
Personally, I don't have a plan to go back to Poland. Northern Ireland is my home now. My whole family's here. But I hope for all of the young people that live in Poland that, you know, work and pay will get better. And those challenges that they're facing right now with the housing, with education, with medication, food, that it will all sort itself out, that the government will actually start caring about its residents, about its citizens, that they will provide more support for those young people, for people who are our future, for people who will become doctors, will become nurses, professors, or even people who will fill out those physical labor positions. But the government needs to care for them. And I hope for that change. I hope that people will not be dying, that women will finally have a basic health rights, that the women will not be dying in the hospitals, that elderly would not need to worry about choosing between food and medication. And I hope that the change is coming. As many more young people are allowed to vote, the change is slowly and slowly coming in. And soon, hopefully soon, the government will need to take those young people into consideration, take their needs into consideration, because
They don't have any
unfortunately,
choice because right now it's like there's a global awakening with this rise of social media. People are now awakening to the reality, not just in their country. And they could see the struggles going on, Palestine, a lot, and no, they're now becoming self-oriented, self-aware. I'm just buttressing your points. Sorry.
see, with self-awareness, I think it's mostly because of the internet, of the availability of information that people are flooded with. Elderly people and people in their 50s, they grew up not having the
Technology,
access.
so they are
No,
not benefiting from that awareness.
and now, as much as most of the elderly people in Poland, you're not going to be able to change their minds, and they will not become self-aware. They will not be aware of what is going on. The people like my mom, my father, and people in their ages, they have their awakening moment. Grow up in a society where we were conditioned to be aware of the problems that are around us, of the wars, of the poverty, of social injustice, of discrimination. And a lot of people who are my age have been discriminated in Poland, basically on the fact that they're a part of LGBTQ community. So I hope that will change as well. I hope with the self-awareness, there will be more acceptance to come in, and those people will not be discriminated against. Because I remember growing up, for me, it was quite terrifying what bullies and people who are discriminating against me would say to me, where I was just a teenager, and that is still happening. So that's one of my biggest hopes, is with that, it will come. Acceptance will be there, and that will end the discrimination and the racism. So we all just hope for better times. It doesn't look like they're coming anytime soon, but we can just hope. And hope and resilience, it's our biggest weapon at the moment, because if we don't have hope, we don't have anything.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you
I
very,
think
very much.
that's the beauty of hope itself. The beauty of hope is you can't see whether it's
Yeah,
coming or not.
yeah.
It's like crossing a road with no lights. You don't know what is coming, but you just hope that you can get to the other side.
Mm.
By working. So that's the
Thank
beauty
you
of hope itself.
very, very much, both of you. You guys have given me straight and cathedral a top-notch global perspective. I can proudly say every single person that has been on my platform, that has rendered their voice one way or the other, has contributed to my making, and I do not take it for granted. And the fact that you dedicated your time to add your voice to this ongoing debate, conversation, reality going on speaks a lot of volume about yourself, about where your heart is placed. I could feel it from your conversation that you guys are people oriented. You people crave for change. You people crave for a society you could be proud of. But like both of you have just explained, hope, that's the beauty of human. The hope that we have keeps us going, because without hope, we'll be at the very dark spots nobody prays to be. And my hope also for the future is to be in a better society where we love ourselves, we respect ourselves, we accept ourselves, we understand ourselves, we genuinely feel for ourselves. We feel our pain, we feel our struggle, and we also, when life favors us, when life favors us, we remember all these things and we say, I want to play my part into improving humanity. I will end my submission with what happened in the house of one of my biggest mentors in life. His name is Professor Wale. I had asked him, Prof, what is the purpose of life? And he gave me a deep sigh and told me the purpose of life is to make sure that everything you do, whether with your gift, your profession as a nurse, your profession as a writer, anything you do, you position yourself to better, to advance the quality of humanity. And that will be my take home. And this is where I will say thank you to both of you. Thank you so, so much. I do not take you for granted. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your submission. I appreciate everything you shared. I am going to edit this. It will be posted on Spotify, on YouTube. I will send you the link and you can share with your contacts. I really, really do appreciate you. Thank you. Big shout out from Belfast to you in China. And
Yeah, it's 1 p.m. already. It's 1 a.m. Sorry, it's
one,
1 midnight. I
thank you.
need
You
to
can
sleep.
go to sleep right
Uh,
now. Sorry, but thank you very much. Olga,
uh, uh,
you know you always be my G. Thank you so, so much. And this is where we draw curtain on today's session. Next week, we'll come with another interesting topic. But for now, I'm Dimitri Shodeke, and I say bye for now. Bye, guys.
Bye.